Oh, hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your 11th and penultimate Doom Patrol episode review for Season 4, the final season. Yeah, very soon Doom Patrol is coming to an end. We just got notification as well that Superman Lois is also ending with its upcoming 4th season. So the DC TV era is finally coming to an end, obviously, of course, to usher in James Gunn's unified front going forward in 2025, which, again, I can't wait for it, but it's like, it really sucks that so many great shows, such like Doom Patrol, such as Superman Lois, have to bite the bullet in this evolving landscape of television right now, and I'm very scared about that. Very, very scared how it's going to go. This episode, however, did not disappoint whatsoever, as this felt kind of poignant, as the writers kind of knew that there wasn't going to be any time to like really fit this certain element into the final episode, so it kind of made sense for it to be its own episode, so that the characters have all the tools that they have to go forward into the finale and wrap up their story properly. And honestly, I'm really can't wait to see how they're gonna end it all off. One more hour to tell their story, and this episode feeling like we're filling in so much of the story, whether it's past, present, or future, that I'm very surprised about, and also that could have been like a catalyst point to like see where things could have gone in a potential season 5, but at the same time, it's just meant to be open-ended, where like, when it's all over, so that you just hope that wherever their new paths go, that it's going to be fruitful, nonetheless. But with that being said, let's just jump into it. Let's go through the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Doom Patrol. So we begin. The 5 members are in the portal. They're kind of like, figuring out what the fuck happens now. Are they going to die? Are they going to live? Are they just stuck in purgatory? Who the hell knows? They witness a burning cowboy in the distance, realizing, yeah, they're all going to fucking die. Cyborg having his, new body kind of created with his input involved, manages to create like a cybernetic shield around them that protects them from the storm. It doesn't exactly save them. They still have to get out of there. But what they do calculate, being assisted by K. Not K. Is it K or I forgot, because I think K is the girl. I forgot. Whoever Negative Baby is. Negative Baby. I forgot his name again already. With his assistant, they realize that this kind of like this purgatory cyclone looking place is actually a kind of like a weird cross section for these time portals, which will allow them to kind of like jump through back and forth throughout the different time periods of history. And the cyborg suit is detecting 3 potential portals that does have signatures of the Immortus necklace, the skin tag, whatever you want to call it. So they're like, that sounds great, but like that doesn't really exactly guarantee that they're gonna be able to get it, because like obviously they assume they need this power to defeat Immortus, so they have no choice but to go through it. So Cyborg having another new ability to give them comms, and as well as a way to kind of come back to the cybernetic shield once they have their time period in the other reality. So they split off into Jane, Negative Man, Cliff, and Roger, going off to different time periods to go find the Immortus tags. Roger ends up in the 1940s, where she is still working at the I forget the name of the place. It's like the ant farm. She's still working at the ant farm. Cliff is also sent back to an earlier time period where it's the day where, and our big guest star, which I'm assuming he'll still be on next week just because of the sake of the finale, we have him back. Niles Cauldron, a.k.a., it's actually Timothy Dalton, playing Niles Cauldron. I'm like, I still love to say Timothy Dalton. He's back. This is the day where he got the Immortalis necklace for the very first time, as well as Kipling. Gotta love me some Mark Shepard. Gotta love him. And meanwhile, Jane and Larry are teleported back to the Doom Patrol Manor at an uncertain point in the past, which, of course, again, the Chief is still there. So definitely, and basically all three groups have to deal with Chief, which, again, the way he was sent off in the show back in season 3, again, not all these characters had their final showdowns with him, not like any more like that sense of closure. He's kind of been gone, and again, like the sake of like well, they couldn't afford him anymore because, Timothy Dalton's a very expensive person to get each and every week. So definitely him, like, having to be killed off was, like, kind of like, it helped in the characters, but at the same time, it kind of, like, was like, well, we kind of needed to because couldn't really afford it. Let's just be honest there. So they all have to deal with that. We'll do it one by one, with the different storyline. We'll, as well as Cyborg kind of like, drifting off in the middle of the port of Cyclone, kind of being stuck in his own bottle episode while he's trying to figure out how the hell they're going to get out of there. With no other choice, he sends out an SOS, via just any signal that can pick up his SOS that can hopefully save him, Where's the Justice League? Where's the Titans? Where are any other superheroes that they mentioned before in the past? Who the hell knows? They're not paying attention. Eventually, the signal is picked up by someone, his friend, who's teaching a robotics class. As he's using a kind of like an antique robot to kind of demonstrate a point during his lesson, it does pick up Cyborg's signal, and they start working together with Cyborg to try and pinpoint his location so they can figure out a proper exit strategy for him. While they're going through the conversation, his students are very well adverse to this, even though, like, by our standard, even the smartest of kids probably wouldn't know anything about time portals or anything of the sort. So Cyborg's confused, like, how do these kids know exactly what the solution is to my situation right now? And his friend admits, like, well, technically you are contacting me, just not the me that you just saw. Or you're contacting me in the future. So again, timey-wimey sort of BS where, yeah, Cyborg's message somehow reached the vast foundings of the future. So technically they all already know how to bring him back. They're just like now implementing just the exact coordinates to, be able to bring him back to his presence. So they're all working together about that. And he even mentions that, yeah, you're a teacher here. You taught these kids how to do everything they're about to do right now. So, yeah, you have a definite future beyond just being a superhero. So keep at it. Keep hoping that we will get you back. And then, like, the future Cyborg shows up. Doesn't talk to him directly, just to, like, not break the boundaries of time travel, even though it's not really time travel. It's more like time communication, whatever you want to call it. So eventually they do give him the coordinates for, like, this is how you're gonna, like, return back to, like, your reality. So be ready at the standby when the other three groups are, like, trying to figure out how to get their immortality pieces. Roger just honestly goes for the blunt approach. She sneaks into Niles' lab, disguised as a rat. She knocks him out, I believe she's about to start looking for the Immortus tag, but then she gets noticed by her past self, then present, over some documents, and she's just trying to, like, shoo her off while being impersonating Niles. But Rouget, young Rouget, is trying to, like, kind of suck it up to Niles to, like, get her on the team, and Rouget having no choice but to kind of, like, publicly insult her. So basically, gives her a brutal, honest assessment of her to allow her to, like, get out the room, which thankfully does work. It's like one of those, like, very sad moments where, like, a person gets kind of, like, told off in a way, and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna cry, but I don't feel happy right now. I really don't. However, Niles, like, the real Niles, wakes up slowly and, presses, like, an emergency button. So Rouget has no choice but to escape. But however, while she's escaping, her past self captures her, knowing that, like, yeah, that's not really how Niles talks. So I knew you were a fake at some point. So she manages to coerce her and forces her to revert back to Rouget. But she still doesn't believe that, they are the same, Rouget. That she just thinks, like, oh, you're just an impersonator. You're just trying to get Ant Farm secrets and that sort of thing. Like, at least give me something that would make me believe you are actually me. Like, not like a spy or a thief or anything. And Rouget actually just mentions some, like, pretty, key factual points about their backstory, which, again, I don't think they got in too deep into Rouget's backstory in the 2 seasons of the show. Again, season 3 and season 4 part 1 were so long ago that I may have forgotten some stuff. So if they did talk about it, I do apologize. But she mentions how when they were growing up around the age of 14 is when they stopped trusting in people, that they just learned to trust in themselves and, like, look out for themselves, that, it doesn't really make sense to, like, try to find people to, like, believe in again. It works in the short term, but however, they start having an argument about, just themselves and how they are right now, past Rouget stances and present day Rouget stances. And eventually, present day Rouget gets mad at her because, she just thinks that, oh, you're just, look at you, like, look how far look at how, like, how far you dropped, and, like, I'm still, like, at the peak point. It sucks that, like, I already peaked here, and, like, you're gonna go down from here, and that I'm the hero here, and our Rouget gets mad at her, getting, all the frustration about, like, again, being the older self, realizing what she did back then was, like, not the best thing to do, like, labeling, certain people as weapons, basically ruining their lives, was not the right approach to make. She could have definitely done something else with her career. So she aggressively stamps her forehead with the weapon stamp from season 3. And I'm like, damn, this is, like, very harsh, to say the least. It's like, damn. Just damn. We cut over the cliff where he interrupts Niles' short-term celebration of getting the Immortus necklace, and now it's like a little bit, like, it gets confusing with the pacing of this scene, where, like, it's assumed that Niles is, like, aware of Cliff, but apparently it was just, like, one of Niles' like hand drawn that he's like, oh no, it's actually real. And, Cliff starts, like, breaking down the whole expositional train of, like, yeah, I know everything about you, about Dorothy and everything, blah blah blah. Listen, I'm only here because I want that necklace. You owe me that necklace for ruining my fucking life in the future, so you're gonna give me that necklace. And I was like, no, like, I'm not giving you this necklace. Like, you don't understand how much I had to, like, sacrifice and, like, risk my life to get this damn necklace. It's just not gonna happen. They get into a brief fight, but Kipling shows up, even though he's half inebriated. He still manages to help Niles, like, freezes him. But however, as with the Parkinson's thing, though, you want to see freezes, it's kind of really hard to get him to move after that, and his hand's stuck on Niles. So they try forcing it up while Cliff is pleading to him, like, look, you have done so much shit to my life. You've destroyed so many people. And in the process of your quest to try and, live further than Dorothy, well, guess what? You failed. All your efforts are for naught. And, that Dorothy will grow up finally and, actually gain her own personality, her own friend group, and everything else. And Kipling's just trying to be like, brah, you're spoiling the future, man. Shut the fuck up. And Cliff's like, nah, he needs to know. Eventually, they managed to get Cliff off him, and, now he's about to, kind of send him on his way, so he can, like, proceed forward with the Immortus necklace. However, the people that he stole the Immortus necklace from arrived to go kick his ass. So, as a sign of good faith, Cliff, to save the day, he has to go fight enemies that have his one weakness, electricity, on him. So, definitely he's screwed as fuck right now, but thankfully they managed to team up a little bit, and they managed to take him down. But sadly, Cliff's Parkinson's properly returns, so he freezes mid-kick, and so he's kind of, like, stuck in a certain position. So thankfully Niles and Kipling, having a heart, decide to repair him, trying to, like, get him back to normal, which thankfully does work. However, another guard of the same army that Niles just previously destroyed shows back up, shoots an electric blast at Niles, but thankfully, in a way, Cliff manages to save the chief from the electricity blast. But we finally get an explanation. How did Niles lose his ability to walk? It's because Cliff threw him too far at the bar, which I'm like, wasn't I expecting that to be the solution or the answer to why? I wasn't even asking that because, like, again, I grew up with Professor X in the movie, so I'm like, I'm not really like, okay, he's paralyzed. Okay, that's just one reason or another. That's it. Move on. But to finally get an explanation to that after so many years, and then still have it clipped it up, where, like, he gets mad at himself for, like, fuck, I didn't need this on my conscience. Now I'm the reason why the chief has never been able to walk as long as I've known it because of me. And he's so mad at everything, and, obviously he's not in a good position right now, considering the fact that he broke his bat, and who knows how much fucking blood vessels he broke along the way. So there's a chance he might go. So Cliff, briefly thinking, well, if the chief's gonna die here, I might as well take the Immortus tack off him. But Kipling kind of guilts him as well, as like, wow, taking artifacts from a dead man. I see how it is. And Cliff goes onto an emotional spiel where, like, he's done so much to try and gain so little, to just the stuff he wants, like, spending time with his family, being able to live, like, kind of like a pseudo normal life, and that everyone else manages to coast through life with no issues whatsoever, and Cliff's always had to suffer no matter how much he has to go through. Even being in a robot body wasn't enough for, the universe to call, yeah, we're even. So I do love Branger's performance in this season. Like, it's the culmination of just all of Robot's Man's, inner struggles for the past 4 years. It's just coming to the boil, which I'm like, again, it just works so perfectly. It really does. Eventually, he does lament. He does give Niles back the Immortus tack and kind of just accepts how things are and, reverts back to the portal. And so back over to wherever Doom Patrol Manor time period is. Larry gets split up when Kay, or yeah, I think where Negative Baby starts wandering off on its own, and obviously he's got to follow suit. He follows him to the garden where he finds the original Negative Spirit back from the first 2 seasons still intact. And obviously it's confused as hell. It's like, what's going on? Why are you here? Like, what's going on? And Larry does his best to kind of fill him in on what's going on in the future time sense without spoiling things for him. And obviously, again, this is like this is the episode where it's like where this show was initially designed, and it is designed to deal with trauma, grief, just the emotional struggles, and just all the personal growth that these characters has done. They still need, like, it's still that type of show where, like, Larry needs to have that final showdown with the Negative Spirit after everything that he's been putting him through since he left him, so that he's able to, like, finally express those emotions finally, and even like the spirit realizing, like, well, okay, I guess I gotta really talk to this guy. So he actually takes, like, the then present day Larry, using his body to, like, actually speak to Larry, finally having, like, an actual conversation for the first time. And just talk about everything. Even Larry pleads to him, like, hey, I'm gonna die. Like, there's a chance this entire mission might not work out, but, like, if I die, like, I've been looking for, like, a proper caretaker for the Negative Baby, and I think it should be you. You should, like, come back from wherever the hell you are and take care of him. And he's like, I don't need to. And, like, obviously Larry gets mad at him for, like, that of all that he's put Larry through in their decades spending together, like, at least he should owe it to him to, like, at least take care of the Negative Baby, at least until he's old enough. And he's just like, no. It's like, and everything. He starts getting frustrated, talking about his vision of, like, Negative Baby throwing him into the sun and everything. Obviously the Negative Spirit's curious about this because, like, they shouldn't be designed to harm Larry, so they converse, and he doesn't give anything future spoilers away, but he does tell Larry that it's not to kill you, it's to bring you to the next point of your life, if that's, like, a very vague term to say. And obviously Larry's still, like, confused as hell. It's like, what does that all mean? Like, why do I have to do that? When am I going to get thrown into a sun, and why? Like, what is the scenario that I have to be thrown into the sun? And I'm just thinking to myself, yep, I guess somehow next week Larry's going to get thrown into the sun. Somehow. That's just my one assumption on the whole thing. Then we cut over back to Jane, who is still wandering throughout the chasms of the manor. She goes back to the basement, finds all the tapes from her when she was beginning her sessions with Niles. Niles enters in, gets concerned of, like, oh, Jane, you're back. I thought you left us a while back. And she's like, well, yeah, I'm here, but, like, I'm also not here. Like, I'm not your Jane. I'm, like, I'm the Jane of the future. And again, similar to Cliff, where, like, she kind of spoils everything to Niles. Like, yeah, I know about the immortality. I know about everything. I know what your plan is for, all this. And I guess she's pleading to, like, I need your immortality, because I needed to help me back in my present time. But again, Niles thinking of himself, and was like, yeah, I can't do that. Like, I need this necklace. I can't really give this up to you right now. I can help you anywhere else, but, like, I can't do this to you. And, Jane kind of uses this as a platform to, like, speak out about the missing personas, whereas Kay's disappearance, that, like, there's just so many things going on, like, that there's just been so many question marks, so many voices in her head that, like, that all, like, kind of dwindling down is kind of, like, scaring her and everything. Even she and Niles goes back to this freaking confessional room and talk about just everything, where, like, she asks him point blank, why are you still working with me, giving me sessions, when you literally prepared, like, a break-in case of scenario for me in that other freaking halfway house. And Niles becomes blunt with her. She says, like, yeah, like, as much as I do believe you can get better, like, you are a very stubborn person. You have caused a lot of headaches for me. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of have to be prepared in case the time comes where, like, yeah, you're just not willing to work with me anymore. So I have to have that ready for you. It's not because I wanted it to do it, but, like, this kind of, like, you forced my hand. So it's kind of like, just like kind of more pandering and blaming, mind you speaking. Jane kind of accepts that, and she kind of, like, starts breaking down a little bit about, like, just how things are going right now. Like, that she needs to, not only defeat Immortus, but figure out like what is next for her in her life, if there is a life after Immortus, where like the personas are gone, K's disappear. There's a fucking mysterious puzzle that she's got to solve, and at this point she just is assumed that she has to say some magical statement or word or something to kind of like solve the puzzle, and she doesn't know what the hell to do. And maybe Niles brings an interesting point, like, well, maybe you do know the answer, you just don't want to admit it, and it's actually. This scene is actually very powerful. It's actually, but like, I get a true culmination of Jane's story throughout the 4 seasons. Where, at the end of season 1, we kind of had a very vague understanding of what happened to Kay that caused her to create all these personalities, but we never got that full expression, like that full, motion, that full scene, mind you. And this scene kind of gives me a lot of, the crowded room vibes, where like it's that pivotal moment. It's like a moment of like admission of like admitting what really happened, that kind of like breaks the floodgates, and like realizing what it is, where Jane finally says it, like something that like fans knew for 4 years, but like that it's a powerful statement to say, because it's very much true, as well as having it be like an event from the past you can't ignore anymore, but at the same time it's also something that you kind of need for your own mental development, to kind of like, this happened to me, I understand it, I comprehend it, and I'm ready to like kind of move on to what's next. You can't lament the past that long enough. Eventually there's the point where like you need to pick it up and move forward, mind you. And where she meant, Kay got raped as a child by her dad, and that kind of created all the personalities, and that kind of like continued the story throughout. And it's been like a very much like a very powerful moment. And like, again, shout out to Diana Guerrero for like delivering that performance. I think that was like a well done taken, like seeing all the personalities, even Kay, like kind of watching her like admit this powerful statement, and admitting like they've come so far in their development, like this is just the next crucial step for them, where she returns back to the underground. She sees things a little bit differently now. Everyone's loaded up in the train, ready to go to their next destination. The underground's over. They're ready to move on to whatever's next. The thing that Kay's been working on behind the scenes for so many years, like, is finally ready for all of them to enjoy. We don't get to see much of it. It's like more of like a kaleidoscope strobe effect, and Jane gets sent back to the present day along with everyone else, and now it's just like having seen all of this, whether or not he remembers Cliff proudly, or even this, like realizes just how much the future has to change, and he's got no choice but to drink that freaking forget-me-not juice and go with it. So everyone reunites back at the cybernetic capsule. They're all realizing, we all failed. We don't have a single ounce of immortality between us, and we're about to go fight the immortal beast herself. But Jane brings up a good point. Like, we never really we never had to tap into our immortality to defeat our previous villains before. We could definitely do it again somehow. We could stop the apocalypse. We could stop this woman from taking over the world. So I'm like, we can do it together. As long as we put our mind to it, we will persevere. Everyone agrees. Especially, Cliff is like, all right, fuck it. I got nothing else to lose. I'm going to hell. I literally broke a man's spine just like a few minutes ago. So I'm like, it is what it is by that point. Also, Jane reveals that all the personalities is kind of merge into this like one entity, which is called the Kaleidoscope. Cool name, mind you. Again, we'll find more about like what that entails next time on that, how that all ends up to work out. Speaking, as the five of them agree, like, we're gonna find Immortus together. We're gonna save Rita together, and we're going to save the world together and stop the apocalypse. They head back up through the portal, ready to go fight Immortus, and that's where the penultimate episode of Doom Patrol ends up. I thought this episode was amazing. I really did. I think by the overall, like, Timothy Dalton brings such a energy to the group, that him having those final words with Cliff and Jane, in a way speaking, was powerful enough to, like, especially with the Jane part, where like, it definitely kind of like, either topped off their character development, or like, give them like the big final push they need to, like, pursue forward into like their own personal futures, wherever they end up being after this show's concluded. Filling in also more of the story details between, everyone, just how things ended up to be again. Like, it just worked out perfectly with the layering of the story. I will admit the Rouget stuff was like, it was needed, but like, it kind of felt like the black sheep of this of the storyline of these storylines. In my opinion, it just kind of felt like, like, yeah, we need Rouget to do something too. So like, let's send her back to the ant forms, have her like, have that like powerful moment with herself to understand like, you have made so many mistakes. You need to change now. Well, while that is appreciative, I did notice that there was some. For me, I didn't fully enjoy that sequence. There was like more potential, for my opinion, to be done there. But that's my only like real critique of it. But yeah, again, I'm still curious to see how they're gonna end off the last episode next time. I'm really concerned. I'm really curious because there's not that much they have to do, but there's still so much they can do, and it's like the question of like balancing it all out and everything. Where like you don't have a fifth season to like get that extra time is like this is it. This is the last episode, the last time to get it right. So. We'll see how it all ends up next week, but for now, I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this week's episode of Doom Patrol. I would love to hear your comments down below, as always. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the final season of Doom Patrol. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two, besides our Doom Patrol episode reviews. Right now, we're just doing Doom Patrol. That's just the primary focus. So stay tuned for more. If you only care about Doom Patrol, thankfully, you're in luck. We'll be back, hopefully, later this week with the final Doom Patrol review, the final episode review ever with the finale, the series finale review. It's going to be bittersweet to say goodbye to another show of mine. It really sucks, but that is just the reality of what things might be. And then afterwards, the following week, we'll be doing our Season 4 review, non-spoilers edition, and that will wrap up our Doom Patrol coverage. Once again, for the final time ever. Again, it sucks that, every story has an end. There is a point where, like, you got to turn the page over to the next chapter. Whether that is going to be deeply written or not does not matter, but it's time for one story to close so you can begin to tell another. So I'll see you all very soon for that episode review. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring the bell and follow social media for more. But until we see each other again, for all you members of the Fan Patrol out there, I'll see you all next time for the last time. So until then, stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.